The Unconventional Therapist's Guide to Nothing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Unconventional Therapists. I'm your host, Dave, and I'm joined here with my co-host, Greg. And today is a very special episode. Not really, actually. It's just kind of a normal episode, but we're going to say it's special because it is a holiday coming up this week. And we decided to take our previous holiday episodes a little step further. Right, Greg?
Yeah. So we are going to talk about origins, different kinds of origins and traditions around the world. Maybe some origins origins of traditions that we still participate in today. But what you will not hear is the origins of the holiday itself and Santa and Krampus and all these fun things. But if any of these things interest you, of course, you could go back into our catalog and maybe last Christmas, right, Dave?
Yes.
Check
Last year, we definitely went big on we're having 2 episodes dedicated to kind of the dark side of the holiday and then the brighter side of the holiday and some of our nostalgia around it and all that stuff. But today we're gonna, like we said, talk about some of the traditions. I really was like trying to push this episode because as I've gotten older, have really grown a strong fondness for traditions, whether they're my own or just other cultures. And we're going to look at those as well as some traditions from other countries.
Yeah, and it's nice do you ever think about why you're participating in these traditions? Like, what is it that's made you kind of come around? Because you've mentioned that before, like on St. Patrick's Day, you make a big Irish breakfast or something like that, if I remember that correctly.
You're exactly right. Yep.
So, like, what is it that, what do you get from that?
There's something about participating in a tradition that makes you feel like you're tapping into a community, a population of people, or I just feel like it's a way of honoring something, whether it's something that's within like how I identify or how someone else identifies. Like, I appreciate the sentiment and I enjoy doing it. I don't know. It makes me feel like I'm being a part of something.
Yeah, like an interconnectedness kind of thing. And I like traditions too, because it's fun to keep these things alive so that other people, it's like you have to do your part to keep these traditions alive so that other people can enjoy them,
Yes, because if you don't, they're eventually just going to go away.
So something I'd like to talk about before we get into
can I just cut you off 1 second?
Yeah,
I just want to make a little sidebar.
Why stop now?
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make a little sidebar and say, for those who don't celebrate Christmas, we are not intentionally trying to isolate or alienate. And I do think, and we already talked about this, I think next year we'll talk about some of the other holidays that happen around this time.
Yeah.
Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun. Because I'd honestly like to know more about those holidays. Because
I was thinking that as we were doing this, I was like, we should have done that probably this year, but that's okay. It's on the list. It's happening.
Well, the other thing too, Dave, is we research so much all year round, and this is kind of the end of the year, and it's time for us to kind of just have fun with one, not to put so much pressure on ourselves, just kind of like have fun with it.
Yeah, this was easy.
So speaking of Christmas, and the one critique I always hear about Christmas is the commercialization. That's what Charlie Brown was all about, right? Like that's that whole sentiment that, Christmas is becoming too commercial and it shouldn't be about that. But the ironic thing is Christmas doesn't exist the way we know it without commercialism. Like, Santa, we talked about last time, is a Coke ad, right? So without, the Victorians and Dickens and the Industrial Revolution, everything that is consumer culture, we don't get the pageantry of Christmas that we have it now. It's almost like it's everything that sucks about Christmas and everything that's great about Christmas at the same time.
Yeah.
Does it make any sense?
No.
Okay. And so the reason why I bring this up mainly because we're having fun. We're not going to get into with the deeper meaning, or we're trying not to anyway. We probably end up doing it. But Christmas commercialism, I think of Christmas commercials. And for me, I have a few that really stick out in my mind, and maybe we're going to age ourselves here. But when I see them, which I don't anymore, but if I see them, in passing on, like a reel or something like that on social media, it just kind of has been happening to me lately, and it really brings me right back. And it's ironic that a commercial, something that is purely, capitalistic and maybe pushing the wrong idea of Christmas, brings me back to a time where I was so happy and Christmas was everything to me. And let me just run through a couple of these for you. So what do you think about the bears, the polar bears?
Oh, from Coca-Cola, of
Yeah.
course. When you were talking about commercials, that was the first image I got was the polar bears.
Santa packs. Coke's been doing Christmas right for a very long time.
They made it their holiday that they were going to just hone in on, and they have done so for sure.
Yeah. I also think of the M&Ms.
Okay.
You don't think of M&Ms as like the Santa comes in and they're like, he's gonna like eat them or something like that.
Oh, Santa Claus! And they, like, pass it out.
It's really.
I feel like that's more recent. Wasn't that like a recent?
No,
recent
that has been
years?
around for years and years and years.
Okay.
And then what about the Campbell soup where the kid comes in? He's a snowman, and he takes that like bite of soup, and then like a snowman comes and sits down, and then he melts into a kid.
I didn't even like think of that until you just said it. But like Campbell's soup in general is like the equivalent of Coca-Cola to Christmas, right? I have Campbell soup like Christmas ball decorations for a Christmas tree from like the 80s. Actually, my mom just handed me some like old decorations that we had from our tree when I was a kid, and it was like one of them was the Campbell's soup kids on a ball, and it's like that was a Christmas decoration.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. That kind of like escaped me. I never even thought about that until just now.
Well, that's the thing. Like I hadn't thought about. You're not going to just think about these things,
It's
but
subliminal.
Yeah. It's just from now on, like soup is comforting now, right? And maybe that's because of marketing and everything. But it's just interesting that these people are probably screaming at their phone or however they're listening to this, saying like naming other commercials, but it's like the Ronald McDonald one with the kid ice skating. You've got to remember that one. He was like real sad. There are just so many great ones, and when I see them, I'm a kid again. I think.
And also, like, you don't see Ronald McDonald in commercials anymore, do you?
No, is there a reason for that?
I think it's because he's a little creepy.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing about Ronald McDonald. Of all the clowns, he was the most sort of endearing. Like I trusted him probably more than most clowns.
Yeah, and then it got to a point where like that became a little gross. Like, why is this adult clown man hanging out with all these kids?
Oh wow! So that's speaking to like how clowns, like maybe why dangerous people would dress as a clowns, because it's sort of like initiates them.
We'll probably talk about this because we have thrown around an idea for an episode. Yeah. But I do think there's something here with why he was so accepted at one point, and now you just don't see him around.
Yeah,
I think there's something changed happened about people's attitudes towards, and you know what? I almost feel on a larger scale, a lot of figures that we probably looked at as like trusted figures in the 80s, in like earlier or maybe early 90s, I feel like there like maybe some things like some truths came out about some people, and we just had a harder time trusting people in general.
Well, I mean, Boy Scouts,
the priests,
the church.
So I think that whole shift really started to make us more skeptical about utilizing an adult clown man in kids commercials.
Oh man, nothing says Christmas like pedophilia, right?
Unsupervised. Like no parents around. He's just hanging out at ice skating rinks.
We're headed in the wrong direction. Maybe you should grab onto the wheel of this ship and steer it in your direction for a little bit.
So one thing that we're talking about commercials. One thing that I was never aware of, and I just learned this: the Charlie Brown Christmas special in 1965 was actually intended to be a Coca-Cola commercial.
It's a long commercial.
And there was product placement throughout that was eventually edited when people's attitudes about product placement in shows and things like that started to change. So I guess it became almost like tacky or I don't know, distasteful in people's opinions. So they edited all that out so you wouldn't see that today.
Isn't Charlie Brown? Isn't the episode? I mean, that special kind of all about how commercialism is bad. Isn't that's what Linus is on a kick? Do you think that
I think
happened
he's like,
after?
isn't he questioning, like, is Christmas all about commercialization?
Yeah. And is it? I mean, can we answer that question? I mean, does being commercial make Christmas better or worse? I think that people, I don't like the feeling, that I have, and maybe you have too. I don't know. I think you probably do better than me financially, but the idea that, you have to spend so much money to keep people happy on Christmas. Like if you don't spend a certain amount of money, like you haven't done enough for them. And I don't think,
See,
I think
I don't ever think that way. I'm a terrible gift giver. Like I'm not a good gift receiver either. I feel immense guilt anytime I get a gift. I never really put that emphasis on. And for a long time, I think I kind of didn't really enjoy Christmas because of people's emphasis on gifts. So for me, that is kind of like the part of Christmas that I don't enjoy so much. But as I've gotten older and as my attitude has changed, I think I've shifted gears a little bit. I'm still not huge on gifts. It's nice to get someone a gift. It's nice to receive a gift, but that to me is not what Christmas is. And I think my family kind of also is that way too. We're more about getting together than we are about like the gift portion of it.
Yeah, and it's too bad.
I think that's how it's supposed to be.
It is supposed to be like that, but I think the gifts are fun, and it's so nice when you get someone a great thing. It's just the pressure shouldn't be there. But what are you gonna do? And then when I ask my kids, hey, like, what's your favorite part of Christmas? Like, what do you think they're gonna say? Presents. And I think somewhere in me, I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, if not, there's nothing.
You're not at that point in life where you're just like, I'd rather people don't buy me something because I'm probably not going to want it and I could just buy it myself.
I feel like I am at that point. It's just I do feel a certain amount of pressure to buy people gifts. I don't know why, but we'll move past that. So yeah, I am wrapped up into commercialism, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Inevitably, I think it's necessary and it is a good thing because. I don't know. Not only do you buy like your family gifts, but there's a lot of charity. There's a lot of donating. There's a lot of like making sure other people have like something on Christmas.
See, that part I like.
I do like that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What else we got?
So let's dig into a little bit of origins on some traditions that we might share or that, people that are listening might have. And then we can get into some international ones, and then we can wrap this bad boy up.
Let's do it.
All right. So the first one that I was going to tackle is the Nutcracker. And I don't know why, but I've been like fixated on, I want to have like a decorative Nutcracker guy in my house, and I don't have one because I just don't. And I don't know why I want one so bad, but they just feel like Christmas, right? You see one and you're like, oh, it's Christmas.
100%.
The toy soldiers, like all things like that, they symbolize a certain something. Now, are you familiar with the story of the Nutcracker?
I know I don't know, is it a ballet?
Yeah, I guess.
I can't think.
I'm not super familiar with the story, to be honest, either.
I'm not, but I think you are now, though, aren't you?
Well, the original tale is actually kind of dark. And I thought it might be interesting to share because I don't think that this is probably what the newer tales of the Nutcracker are about. So in the original tale, a 7-year-old girl slices her arm open after she's startled by a vision of a toy Nutcracker coming to life. And as she recuperates, her godfather tells her a tale of a man cursed with ugliness, with the ugliness of a Nutcracker. And she swears that she would love the Nutcracker no matter what he looks like, and is whisked away into a doll kingdom and marries him. Oh. So they wed within a year of meeting. But the thing about the girl is, if it's a year after she was told the story, she's 8 years old at this point.
Yeah.
And she's marrying a full ass man.
That's young, a full ass ugly man.
Yeah, and that's ugly man.
That's young in any. I mean, you can't be like, oh, it was. Even if we went back to the 1200s, it's like, okay,
yeah, it don't fly. It don't
yeah.
fly. So that's an interesting little
That
story
is
right there.
interesting. All right, so wow,
Why
and
is that a thing? You know?
I don't know, and what makes that Christmassy?
Yeah. What about that story says anything about Christmas?
Well, as I was reading, you find that like in different parts of the world, they have like these traditions where like it just kind of happens that way. They watch a specific movie or a play, and it just happens to be around the holidays. But something that we definitely watch around the holidays is Rudolph. Did you hear about the origins of this? Because I
Yes, I
I
did.
find this pretty interesting. Because this is all about it's about commercialism and it's all about timing. And there's a department store. It's very like Miracle on 34th Street. There's a department store in Chicago. I think it's Montgomery Ward, and they would have this tradition every year where they would buy a book so that the parents could give their children this book, and they can just take off and shop, and it wouldn't cause any. So, anyways, they wanted to keep it in house one year, and they had this person, Robert L. May, who worked as he was like sort of what Elaine did in for the Peterman catalog. He would like write about different articles of clothing or whatever and kind of make it interesting. So they were like, all right, maybe he could write this book. And this guy had a sick child, and she was really into reindeers. So he thought maybe I'll make a little story about a reindeer who guides the way for Santa Claus. And so he writes this book, and the people they were like, this is terrible. We hate this, right? And he's like, well, let me get some art for it and see what you think. And they come with the art, and they weren't crazy about the red nose because it has this like drunken connotation, but they went with it anyways. And his brother-in-law happened to be this guy named Johnny Marks, and he was the guy who wrote like Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree and Holly Jolly Christmas, like all these legitimate Christmas hits. So he's like, well, I'll write a song for it. And like the culmination of all these things ends up creating this huge burst of popularity, which now is like, when you think of Rudolph, you think of it as old as the lore of Santa Claus, when it's really just, the 30s.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy if you think about it.
It is crazy. I mean, because when you think about it, you really do, think about it as something that's kind of, if you had to date it, like you wouldn't be like it's this century. You would date it as like, or maybe it's some sort of Norse tradition, or some kind of like it had his roots in like folklore or something like that. But that's not the case at all. It's pretty interesting.
What year was the claymation special?
I think it was in 1965. I'm not sure exactly, but I know one thing. It is the longest running Christmas special. Continuous. So
I love it. I love that one so much.
It's honestly, it's one of my favorites, and I try to watch it every single year.
That's why when I met you, you insisted that you looked exactly like Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah. I used to hear that a lot, especially.
Did you?
Especially with the beard, you know what I mean? And I do wear that like a little rolled up, and I literally have a red hat that like I wear like that, and people would, they would, say silver and gold, and I'd be like, I don't, and eventually you put it together. But what a great character, though, right? I mean, yes. I'm not insulted by that at all.
No,
just an epic kind of. When I was a kid, I remember thinking like that was the length of like Ben-Hur or like the Ten Commandments or something like that, because it's an hour-long Christmas special, which is half an hour longer than most. But man, does it feel like you're in that for a while?
Yeah.
Quite a adventure, Rudolph.
It really is.
Yeah, I loved it.
Thank God that story was written.
Oh boy. Yes.
So, Greg, I think you're familiar with this next one.
Okay.
A Yule log.
I was familiar with it last year. Maybe I thought about that a little bit. I know the Yule log as a dessert.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
You know the French name, I'm assuming.
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Bûche de Noël.
Oh yeah, of course, right.
You knew that, right?
Yep.
And you guys eat that? Do you guys partake in the Bûche de Noël?
No, we don't. We don't do much of that. I guess that we've lost that in the
wow, I'm disappointed.
Crossing the ocean that stayed on the other side.
I'm bringing you a Bûche de Noël when I come to your house.
I appreciate that, because you are liking to keep with the traditions, and I'd like to. I'll dig in.
A Bûche de Noël and a meat pie.
That we do have.
Yes, I hope so. All right, so it's a traditional Christmas cake that is often served as dessert in France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Vietnam, and of course, Quebec, Canada, which is why I take such pride in it. It's like a Swiss, it's like those Swiss chocolate rolls, except the cream is also chocolate, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, I was recently at Epcot, and they had like around the world, they had a Bouche de Noël there, and it was not that. It looks like an eclair. I don't know what they were doing.
Which is
I
a
don't know what that
great
was.
which is a great treat. As
I mean, I like eclairs, but
Yeah.
don't call it a freaking Yule log if it's not a Yule log.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, the original Yule logs were actual logs that were burned in a fire. So it wasn't. What originates, the dessert originates from an actual log. And no,
Right.
they were not eating it. Greg, I know you wanted to.
Yeah, no,
ask
I'm
that.
confused.
So I guess in Europe's Iron Age, they would decorate it with pine cones, holly, and ivy. And burning the logs was said to bring good luck for the new year. But the thing that actually brought you the best luck was the ashes, as they were said to ward off against aging and protect the person who had them against lightning, because I guess that was a big fear in their wooden houses.
Okay.
And that's the origin of Yule logs.
Well, that is interesting, especially
How did they become a dessert? I don't know.
that we don't know. But yeah, Yule, and people are like, why aren't they discussing the pagan origins of Yule and the connection to Christmas again? A year ago, check that out.
Yes.
But so I have a quick one of something that we all kind of partake in. Well, actually, you know what? It's interesting. Have you even ever tasted a fruitcake?
Yes,
Me
I
too.
did once.
And what did you think?
I did not like it that much.
Okay. So this is something that's been around for actually a couple thousand years. I mean, people would use this like dense cake for, expeditions if you're a soldier or something like that, right? And then it kind of has this reemergence in Victorian times, as all kind of awesome things do. I love Victorian times. It's just great. But the only reason why I bring up fruitcake is this awesome little anecdote about our first president, George Washington. And this is where I think not only the origins, not so much the origins of fruitcake, but the origins of regifting come into play. Because he gets this fruitcake and he has this great little comment where it says, as a government employee, I'm not allowed to accept gifts of over 80 pounds.
Yeah.
As if to say, if this thing
the cake weighs 80 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then, in my mind, I think that he would have given it away or passed it on, right? Because he can't accept it. And I think that's why we regift it. And when you do get a fruitcake, you tend to regift it. And now what I think the modern fruitcake is a candle. A lot of passing around of candles too. Can you think of anything else that's sort of like, if you get it, it's like, okay, that's getting...
Yeah, like a bathrobe or like random stuff like that.
Like a gift card?
Yeah, a gift card of somewhere you don't go to. For sure.
Big time. Big time.
I actually, I want to correct myself because I think I've had it twice. The first time I didn't like it. The second time I had a better one, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't too bad. I could kind of enjoy this if it was made differently." What throws me off is the gelatin little thingies in there. What do you call those? Like, I don't know what they are.
Like
really.
dried fruit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But some of them don't taste so great. So I didn't have a problem with the cake itself. I had I don't know if it was homemade. I can't remember if it was homemade or if it was like just a better version than like the store-bought one that you normally would get. And it was not bad. It's just some of those little dried things, they were almost gelatinous.
Yeah, they do have a weird texture to them. And I think that's a problem. I'm very texture heavy.
It reminded me of dots, and I hate dots.
Oh, see, I don't know. I'm a dot guy.
I knew you would be.
Like a gummy bear kind of thing in there?
No, gummy bear's a bomb. Dots
you're making me almost want fruitcake.
Dots are hard.
Yeah.
They're gelatinous but hard. They're not gummy, like soft like gummy bears. Anyways, I digress.
Give us another one.
What about the mistletoe?
Ooh.
Oh, Greg's eyes just lit up.
I like that one. Yeah. Where is it? What's
Isn't
that?
there one? Aren't you sitting under one right now?
I could probably guess. I could like.
It's a good thing we're over Zoom.
Does it have something to do with fertility?
No.
Okay, that's too bad.
I don't think so. So it's a symbol of love or connection. And if someone's standing under it, you're supposed to make out with them.
I know. See, like I feel
Actually,
like
just kiss, but
yeah. Now, is that tradition still alive and well these days?
As long as you ask permission.
Okay. Yeah.
Or I don't know actually. So the origins of this, it was actually a sign of friendship by the Druids, which immediately, anything pagan, anything
Yeah.
of that nature,
Mhm.
the religious leaders in England ended up banning it, right?
Yeah.
Just like the Saturnalia and all that stuff, which you can hear all about in our previous episode last year.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but however, it's interesting. They banned it, but for whatever reason, a York Minster church in the UK, for some reason, they began to hold special mistletoe services each winter. So they banned it, but then brought it back. And during the services, criminals from the town could come in, bring a sprig of mistletoe, and they'd be pardoned for all their wrongdoings.
Huh.
And that has nothing to do with kissing or anything, friendship, nothing. So what they would declare is that public and universal liberty, pardon and freedom of all sorts of inferior and wicked people at the Minster gates and the gates of the city towards the four quarters of heaven. So I don't know. It had this weird connection.
Oh, I like that though.
Yeah, they were just granted their freedom because of bringing him a sprig of mistletoe. So they took it away and then brought it back, but made it their own and gave it this different meaning. And now I guess you can actually still see some mistletoes at altars during the holiday season, which if I went to church, I would look for.
Man, everyone's just kissing under there. I mean,
Who's kissing?
I don't know.
There's only a few people up on that altar. So
I love that whole thing where like, plants have so much meaning in, especially with, the trees and everything. And obviously Christmas trees, right? There's like a lot of meaning behind that. It's like there's something about those fir trees or the evergreens where they don't die in the winter. So that's, there's something about their strength there and they want to bring that into their homes. That's something that's sort of been passed on. But what's interesting is, the pagans were very much interested in, oak trees and trees like that. And they say what the start of the type of trees we think of as Christmas trees, the evergreens, came from Saint Boniface, where he said, "Hey, you guys want to worship a tree? Look at that tree that's pointing towards heaven. That's a nice tree to have." And that's kind of where that came from. And that was sort of like a Germanic type tradition, and that had kind of been passed on for centuries until the Germans started marrying into the British royal family, and through once you started like getting into magazines and things like that and seeing like, hey, here's the royal family, they're all like kind of like sitting around this tree and they have this like little image of Christmas. That's when it sort of becomes popular or tries to start to become popular for the rest of the world. So I wasn't really going to say like the origins of the Christmas tree because I think we talked about in the other one, but that's sort of the idea.
What was Saint Boniface the saint of?
I don't know. Christmas trees. I honestly don't remember.
There's a brewery that I really enjoy in Pennsylvania called St. Boniface Brewing. And I always wanted to get a shirt from there because I love the image. And I'm like, I don't know. There's something about it just kind of like caught my attention. And I've always meant to like look up more about who St. Boniface was.
Well, I mean, it could be the patron saints of like breweries. Who knows? Because they do add like things onto them. There's like a patron saint of everything now. Like the internet probably has one, or
Well, I mean, Saint Nicholas is the patron saint of
tons of things. So. Prostitutes, pawnbrokers, sailors. Yeah, I mean, awesome stuff. So,
awesome stuff.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention two songs, and then I'll let you kind of start digging, and maybe we'll do origins or whatever else you got. But one song is Silent Night, which I find has an interesting origin because I always thought, honestly, that this song was about the Christmas truce in World War I, where they stopped fighting for a little bit because maybe that would be a silent night. But really, it was just about a broken piano in a church, and they had to figure out how to, still have a Christmas Eve celebration without the help of instruments. So this guy wrote this poem, Silent Night, and it kind of took off. But the reason why it spread around worldwide was because the guy who fixed the piano repairman, really like loved it, and he brought that with him where he went. So it kind of spread like I don't
He
know.
stole it.
He stole it, yeah. But the other interesting song is for this year, I wanted to watch some of the classic Christmas movies that I had never seen.
Yeah.
So I was watching Meet Me in St. Louis, because it's Judy Garland, and there's that Christmas song, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which I love so much, right? And in that song, the original lyrics I found out today was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, it may be your last.
Whoa.
I know. And at first I'm like, oh, what an awful Christmas message. But then I'm thinking, what about the Stoics and Memento Mori? And you should live your life remembering that you might die. And how to the fullest will you live this Christmas if you live it as if it might be your last?
Yeah. You know, it's so funny because like when we hear a line like that, we think, oh, wow, that's dark. But is it really though? All it's doing is reminding us to live in the present.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, I don't think that's a bad message at all. And I knew you wouldn't. And that's why I brought it up. I was like, oh, I gotta
It's actually mindfulness. That
It
song
really
mindfulness.
is. It really is. And you know, the reality is, of course it could be your last. And we hope it's not your last, but that you shouldn't like live your life being like, don't worry about this Christmas because I've got hundreds of, you know what I mean? Like, well,
as we started this episode and said next Christmas will next holiday season we're going to touch on other
next holiday season we'll do better.
Whoops.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a great message. You know,
That's
I mean, not only it might be your last, but like, you know, you've got people in your family who are getting older and it might be their last.
It's their last.
And it's just something you should really be cognizant of and you're right, it is mindfulness because it's not like it's mindfulness, it's the spirit of Christmas, it's past, present, future, like the Dickens classic. It's just like be there with that person in that moment. Don't think about how things used to be or how they could be, but just like enjoy that. Enjoy Christmas. One day of the year, just enjoy that.
After you finished with that one, did you watch The Ginger Dead Man?
No, I didn't.
You didn't watch that Christmas
That's
classic?
not on my list of classics.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 4?
Ever since knowing you, I feel like I should be watching Black Christmas. I just haven't yet. Is it Black Christmas?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that one yet.
Beautiful movie.
I'm sure it's a beautiful movie, Dave.
It is. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do we do? We get
Greg,
into countries?
Nope. So
Okay.
just rushing me along.
Oh,
The last one I got is Cookies and Milk.
Oh, okay.
So where do you think that originated from?
Honestly, if I had to guess, I would think, you know, in the theme of this episode is marketing for a cookie company or a milk company.
Probably a good guess. I actually don't know where it started, but I know that when it became popular. So it was popular, and I don't know if these two things are connected. If it started when it became popular, I don't know. But it was popularized in the Great Depression era, and parents encouraged their children to leave cookies for Santa during this time of economic hardship to show gratitude for the things that you're given, and that it's not all just about receiving. So it was actually like to instill this idea that you're going to get gifts from Santa, so you should also give him something as well.
It almost feels as if they were like tricking their kids so that they didn't have to feel bad about eating their cookies, and the parents could just enjoy. You know what I mean? When the kids are in bed.
It's interesting that they had cookies to just
Throw away. Yeah, it's the depression. Let's just throw away the cookies.
I'm sure some parents didn't.
The parents definitely ate them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you do anyway.
So Greg, you want to get into the next section, which is international holiday traditions.
Yeah. So a few of these are a lot of fun. Now, do you want me to start?
You can start with one. Yeah.
Okay, so Portugal, a place that I've been, they have this tradition called Consoada, and this is typically held on Christmas Eve, which for a lot of cultures I'm noticing is the real celebration, and that extends to my own family. Like that's the real celebration for us, and this is when we honor deceased relatives and friends who are no longer around for the holiday celebrations. So, you know, have yourself a merry little Christmas Day, maybe your last. They get that. And what they normally do is leave a spot at the table open and, you know, kind of like put food there and everything else so that it's almost like that idea of like pouring one out for your
homies.
Friends. Yeah, for your homies. I didn't want to say it, but, you know, that's what we're doing. And so I love how it's almost this act of purposefully leaving an empty space. So you see it and you say, "Oh yeah, Grandpa's dead," and we loved that guy. You know what I mean? And
He
like
was
honor
freaking
him.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
good. I think it's good and important to remember people. Like if you ever seen that Disney movie Coco, do yourself a favor because like that's what it's
Oh,
all
yeah.
about, like remembering your deceased relatives. I mean, I
Wait,
think
did you say they put food out?
yeah, no,
All right.
yeah, like so they'll leave a spot
Here's
open at the table.
here's
and
my
they put food out.
question. Here's my
Yep.
question. When I hear stuff like that, how long is
I know.
an appropriate amount of time
know,
to
I
leave
know.
that food there before either someone else eats it or
What's
you
the
throw it
etiquette?
away?
Yeah, what's the etiquette? And if you do eat something, is that a curse? Do you get cursed for that?
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know. I don't know what the appropriate time is. I honestly think, unfortunately, that food has to be thrown away.
Sad.
Yeah,
I do not like throwing away food.
I know. I don't like it either. But hey, look, hey, it's Christmas.
I'd be just staring at it the whole time.
I know. Grandpa would want me to eat this. I know him. All right, take us away.
Speaking of food, I got a couple of food traditions in Japan.
Okay. Oh, Japan. Okay.
Yeah. So so two different things. One's a dessert, one's their meal. So for the dessert, they have the Japanese Christmas cake, which is basically it's a super basic cake. It's a sponge cake topped with whipped cream and fresh strawberries.
Okay.
It's become a holiday symbol in Japan. It originates in post World War II era and is basically a staple of their celebrations. The thing I didn't even put together though is the colors, the red and white.
The flag.
So the flag, so it has symbolic significance in Japan. Did you know what those colors represent though, other than just the flag?
No.
Joy and purity.
Really?
Red being joy, I'm assuming, and purity being
Red is
other
death
color.
an awful lot in literature. And
Sure, it is, but it's also
Yeah.
joyous
okay. Yeah.
and anger and joy.
Yeah. It's all the
So that's their dessert. That's like super basic strawberry shortcake, basically.
I was just gonna
right?
say I didn't want to say that, but like that's what
So-
it is, and that's one of my favorites.
And it's funny because like that's like a dessert we would see at any point in time, and definitely not what I was expecting to be like the Japanese Christmas cake. And I also didn't expect their Christmas dinner to be fried chicken, particularly Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No.
That has become the traditional Christmas dinner meal. And from what I read, it basically stemmed from just some very convincing and how appropriate for Christmas marketing in the 70s.
I mean, and you know what? What is it? The original recipe, the 7 herbs and spices. I mean, that's beautiful.
Well, it like makes you like
Yeah.
palpitate when you hear that.
It's Pavlovian. We should.
7?
Yeah. Wow.
That's so many spices.
That's so many. It's delicious.
So I mean, it's just ironic though that you would think there would be something like this exotic thing that would be so different, and it's like the most familiar things to us that I can ever imagine.
But for them, it is exotic.
I guess, yeah. Interesting.
I haven't had KFC in a long time,
Me neither.
and it sounds like I'm due.
I think you're getting it tonight.
I might. All right. Well, hey, listen. Let me take you to Guatemala.
Ooh.
They have a ceremonial tradition called burning of the devil. I knew you would. Kind yeah,
that sounds
yeah.
cool.
So this is how they prepare before Christmas, and it's a custom that dates back to I want to say around the 16th century, 1500s, whatever. So residents of Guatemala, in the neighborhoods, they'll sweep up all their garbage. They put everything in a huge pile outside, and they put an image of the devil on top of it all, and then they light it all on fire as if it symbolizes to them. And we do things like this in therapy with
Just we don't start fires.
like a metaphor or visualization, right? So we don't start fires, but they're burning away all the negativity of the past year once and for all.
Once a month, the fire alarms go off in the building. It's like Greg's doing it again.
Yeah. I'm burning away all my problems. There they go, up into the air, and you watch the smoke, and there goes my problems into the air. But it's cathartic, like to watch something like that, and to it's like this is all this year's like.
That sounds so New Year's Eve, like New Year's, like.
Well, I mean, it's the end of the
right?
year, right? I mean,
it's like starting fresh. It's letting go of the things that happened and starting anew.
I think it's a great tradition. It reminds me of Candyman.
I love it. I actually think that that's great, and I am all on board with burning some devils.
And a bonfire too. I mean,
I wonder if over time you can actually purchase, like they probably sell the devil images in stores.
oh, I'm sure they do. Like that's all commercial,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they gonna market like this one burns quicker.
Did you get any Google images of these devils?
I did. I did. I
see what they
did.
look like.
I did. Yeah, it's pretty colorful. You know, it's almost like Day of the Dead,
one?
Day of the Dead type looking. I'm sure Dave. I'm sure we can find something like that for you.
Okay.
Maybe for Christmas.
Guatemala. I got to look that up.
Look it up.
All right. I'm going to take you to the Philippines on a little magic carpet ride.
Okay. Okay.
Ligligan Parol.
That can't be right.
Absolutely not. It's an annual festival, which happens in mid-December in San Fernando, it's a lantern festival that symbolizes the Jesus' Star of Bethlehem. This is displayed in various cities all throughout December, but this festival just happens to be one of the bigger ones, and they actually have all these competitions, and to build the biggest lanterns, the most intricate ones, and this town, San Fernando, has actually been nicknamed the Christmas capital of the Philippines. Not the most exciting and exhilarating thing ever, but like probably visually very awesome to see.
Yeah.
Bunch of Christmas lanterns just all over the place, like large, small, intricate, like all these different designs, colors. I can only imagine what that must look like.
Well, and look, it's and just like it's a great metaphor for Christmas because it's like there's probably so much preparation for that.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, and then like there it is, the culmination. It's kind of what Christmas is all about.
And this dates back to like the early 1900s. So this has been going on for forever.
It makes sense. It's highlighting my favorite part of Christmas, or the thing that I think is the most important thing to learn from Christmas is existing in that state of anticipation where, there's something out ahead of you. Like we talk about that ad nauseum. We don't talk about it now, but geez, like, doesn't that keep you going to the next day? Right. Yeah. Like knowing that something is coming, something big is coming, something that you're working towards. That's what it's all about.
That Alfred Adler thing where he's like, it's not the goal. When you're said and done, it's not the goal that's the biggest impact. It's all the things that led up to that goal, all Absolutely. The experiences and moments that happen.
Adler, alchemist.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of like the message in the book. Bruce Lee is always said like it's not you're reaching your goal is not important. It's working towards your goal that's important.
Yep.
The goal can always change. All right, yeah. So that's a great one. In Czechia, there's single women toss their shoes, and so this is what happens. Part of the Christmas celebration is all the unmarried women get together and they toss a shoe over their shoulder, and while facing away from any open door, they do this to predict whether or not they're going to find like a romantic prospect for the year. So if the shoe lands and it's like pointing towards the door, you're good. And if it doesn't, then you are definitely going to stay single for another year.
Oh, yeah.
I know that's just how so they just take their shoes off and give them a toss. I kind of like that. I wonder if that's connected to the wedding thing. It's funny how like all these traditions kind of just like you don't even know why. It reminds me of like generational trauma or it's like you don't even know why we're doing the things we do. We're just doing them because we've always done them, and they get
and it's putting so much responsibility on this completely like roll of the dice act.
Now I'm never going to meet anybody. My shoe is pointing to the right.
But think about what that also does, though. If it says you're going to meet somebody, or you could meet somebody, it probably feels a little bit of pressure, but you probably have a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And if it says you're not going to meet somebody, it kind of takes some of the pressure away, I guess.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. So if you do meet someone, it's like, oh, that's nice, but you're like, I wasn't really expecting it this year because how my shoe landed and all that.
Yeah.
So interesting. I kind of like that. Greg, let's just take a little stroll over to Mexico.
Okay.
Las Posadas,
Okay.
which translates, as you already know, to the inns, as you were going to tell me, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Which is this is something that honors Mary and Joseph's search for an inn. So it's I don't know if you would call it a festival, but I guess it's sort of like a festival. It starts with a parade through the streets and ends with a feast in a new house for every night for 9 nights from December 16th through the 24th. There's music, prayer, pinatas, fireworks. It's a celebration actually for like 9 days. Each evening during the festival, a small child dresses as an angel and leads a procession through the streets of the town. The procession is primarily made up of children dressed in silver and gold robes, carrying lit candles and images of Mary and Joseph riding a donkey.
Okay.
Adults, including musicians, follow the procession, and they visit select homes and ask for lodging for Joseph and Mary. Traditionally, the procession has always refused lodging. So I guess if they come to your house, you have to tell them no.
No.
No, we're kind of full tonight. Yeah, and but they offer them refreshments and stuff like that.
So is that's the length of time I'm assuming that Mary and Joseph were trying to find?
It must represent that.
It's got to
Yeah.
represent that. Yeah.
Yep. And it's they even picked like what I say the 16th through the 24th, which if they're marking Jesus's birthday as the 25th, then that kind of makes sense, even though we kind of already know from our previous episode that nobody really knows the date of Jesus's birth. Yeah. So at each stop, the passages of the scripture are read and the Christmas carols are sung. So it's like basically it's just parading around doing Christmassy stuff and having a great ass time.
That sounds awesome. I love anytime there's like a multiple day festival. Like we don't get a lot of that here in America.
No, we don't. And we also don't get a lot of this stuff because it's like community based. It's like, it's not individualized. But imagine if like you're picked to be that person's house that they end at and you have to feed everybody. That must be so much.
Expensive.
So much
That's a
work.
lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I'm thinking I'm either gonna save Ukraine for you because I think we both like that spider story.
Sure.
I'll save that for you, and then I'll do the pickle because I actually have.
I know about the pickle. Go ahead.
All right, so pickle in the tree, which we do at my house. This Christmas tradition.
Oh, you do that?
We do it.
Okay.
Absolutely. I know exactly where it is. So it's a tradition. Natasha's German, so
okay.
this comes. This is part of her. Her heritage, her culture, right?
Her lore.
Her lore. It dates back to the 16th century. So, the thing is, one of us has to hide the pickle somewhere within the branches of the tree. I know. Hiding the pickle. You just have to giggle, right?
Yeah.
So it's debated whether or not it's German at all, but one legend says that the Christmas pickle originated in Spain when 2 young boys were held as prisoners inside a pickle barrel. And you know who saved them?
Yes.
Who?
Santa.
Well, St. Nicholas, yes.
St. Nicholas.
The heroic St. Nicholas, yes. So
that's connected to a story of one of those evil Santas.
Yeah.
That was putting them in the barrels. Which character was that?
Well, if you really want to find out, just go back to one of our episodes.
Oh, thank you, Greg.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so look, this is something that we do, and it is a lot of fun. Yeah, you hide the pickle, and then whoever finds it gets open a special gift.
So I knew about this from a friend. He had a pickle decoration on his Christmas tree, and I accidentally smashed it.
What?
And when I say accidentally, it's because I threw it to a friend who didn't know I was throwing it, and it dropped and smashed. And I bought him a replacement pickle. Yeah, they're all over the place now. Okay. You get like those, I don't know what that material is, that those like shiny, they're really popular now for like Christmas ornaments. They're like kind of like shiny and they look like vintagey, but they're all over the place. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got a lot of that. Like I've got little Ralphie and his pink bunny.
Yeah.
I had that with that. Yep. Yeah, it's really cool.
People get like the Eiffel Tower or like their professions, like cameras and stuff. Anyways, yeah, so I knew about it from that because once he explained to me why that was meaningful, that pickle that I broke, I had to look it up. So
yeah, is it super meaningful? I don't know. but
just
it's
tradition.
fun.
So
It's a
if
fun,
you're
it's a fun
someone
tradition.
who, yeah, if you're someone who's his family was Polish. So I don't know if this is something that carried on to if I know you had said German, but I don't know if this is something that his family had done from that was from Poland or what, why this was, something that he clung on to, but
Yeah, that's interesting.
interesting.
I mean, they're neighbors. So, and when you're in Europe, it's like, I mean, what? That's a 20-minute. It's like a 20-minute bike ride to Poland. So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is over there. So,
So the next one that I got is the Yule goat, and this is Scandinavian and Northern Europe. And the Yule goat is a Christmas tradition. So its origin is Germanic paganism,
yeah,
and it's existed in many variants during Scandinavian history. They're typically made of straw. And do you know where this comes from? Like why this is connected to paganism?
probably something Norse.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, but we kind of talked about this at some point in one of the episodes. The Norse god Thor.
Yeah,
He's often seen with a sleigh led by two goats.
that's right.
So it kind of commemorates that, I guess. But in Sweden, they have something called, I'm going to botch this, the Gavelgoat. Wow, did I just sound Swedish right there? That was awesome.
That's not
that
bad.
sounded really good.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That was perfect. Almost
Not bad.
If
Like
we have a Swedish
chicken.
listener, please tell me how that was.
Yeah,
Gavelgoat. So here they build a giant straw goat in the middle of town to honor the Yule goat. The goat is actually like larger than a house with like big horns and bright red ribbons all around its like nose, stomach, and horns. And it's displayed annually in like the castle square. The thing that makes this really interesting is it's been like targeted for like many, many years. So it's been the subject of like repeated arson attacks, and they keep doing it. So actually, as of like 2022, 38 out of the 57 goats have been destroyed or damaged in some way.
Well, straw. I mean, dude, if the Three Little Pigs taught us anything, it's bad. You're gonna make the goat out of bricks.
Yeah, it's illegal to do this. Like it's illegal, but like people keep doing it for whatever reason. And there's like a 3-month prison sentence that can actually happen if you're caught.
See, people don't like. It's nice that you're kind of going the opposite way with it because people don't have the same respect for traditions. Or is that just me getting old?
I don't know. Like this has been happening since 1966. This is one of those situations where it's like, all right, I love tradition, but like this could have really bad consequences if we don't get a handle on this.
Yeah,
like we're burning this giant straw thing. What if like other structures around catch on fire? Like, come on.
You want some regulations on the goat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
Fair enough. So listen, let's go to South Africa. Because for me, Christmas food is a huge part of it. And this one caught my eye because what they do is they fry caterpillars. And this is pretty unusual, obviously, right? Because eating bugs is, I don't know, gross. But this isn't just any caterpillar. They're frying the emperor moth or, Christmas caterpillar. So it's like that big, huge green. It's just like it's got like festive, like Christmas colors almost naturally, right? So they fry this thing up, they eat it, and if you swallow it all down, you get luck in the upcoming year.
Okay,
and it's probably good for you.
A
lot of protein. Festive fried caterpillars.
I don't know if like that. I'm super adventurous with food. The place that's really hard for me to go is the idea of eating insects, though.
I had a chocolate covered cricket.
Yeah, I've heard of that, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really want to do it. I mean, I'll try it, but I don't want to.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, bugs are gross.
Yeah, I don't want to eat.
Bugs are gross.
But
there's so many of them. We're gonna end up with, I mean, I don't want to be apocalyptic, but at some point, we're gonna have to eat bugs.
Oh boy. Another food related one. But they're not eating it actually. in Osaka, Mexico.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's how you say it. They carve something very special around this time of the year. Do you know what they carve?
No,
So you don't want to take a guess?
a turkey.
No. No. Radishes, large radishes.
Oh yes, I did read about that. And
You
they
knew
make
about
little like
this?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's almost
So
like jack-o'-lanterns.
they celebrate La Noche de Rabaños,
Okay.
which is the night of the radishes. See, I'll
Yeah.
go there, Greg. I'll say those words.
Yeah, you'll go for it.
I don't
I
hear you saying those words.
I'm not. I'm just going with the English version. So I would have just said there. I would have been like the night of the radishes. I would have skipped the.
Come on, man.
I know. I know.
So its origins, it was native to China. The radish was introduced to Mexico by the Spanish, and over time, it became like used as a side dish or a snack. And for whatever reason, they just started carving it into decorations for special dishes. And oh, this is what it was. I guess they have like Christmas markets are a big thing. So this was a way to like draw appeal. It's a marketing gimmick for the
Mhm.
farmers to draw people into the Christmas markets that were happening around,
Okay, that
December
makes sense.
23rd.
It's all about
So-
marketing.
Exactly. So they come in to buy the radishes, not only to eat, but to create like centerpieces for their Christmas dinners, which I would love to see that. That sounds
Yeah, no, it's really cool actually. Hey, I've got one more, and hopefully, I think you'll enjoy this one. So Norway, which is a fun place, a fun part of the world, with like all like the spirits and elves and elementals and all these things, right? So according to Norwegian folklore, Christmas Eve is the day when mischievous spirits take to the skies as witches, right? So witches often use brooms to get around. That's kind of the standard folklore. So what they do in a Christmas tradition in Norway is to hide their brooms. And I think that's pretty cool. Like we better like we go to the kids like so like it's so funny how and we've talked about this in the last year's episode where like a lot of this is based around, hey kids, we need you to behave tonight or we need you to like lock it up.
Yeah.
So let's hide the brooms and make sure that's all set. Get everything cleaned up. So let's clean. Let's get these brooms hidden so that the witches can't come and like do all kinds of weird
Like,
things.
I'm going to need you to behave right now because I got to go and hide all of our brooms.
Yeah,
And if you
'cause the
keep
witches are-
acting up, those brooms are going to be left out.
Our biggest thing growing up was cold. That was the big threat. That's not really a threat.
No.
That's not really a consequence, right?
Nothing.
Krampus eating you and dragging you to hell. That's a
Yeah.
consequence.
That is a consequence.
But I mean, I don't know. So I feel like other countries have it right where it's like, okay, like, so I don't, the threat of coal was always there. But do you know anybody who ever got coal?
I mean, no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I had a piece. I think it was like a joke.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like my parents might have put one in a stocking once as a
It's
joke.
a it's a
Someone
nice
did.
joke.
Yeah.
It's a fun joke. Yeah.
But you knew it was a joke. You're
Yeah.
like, all right.
You're like, all right, come on.
All
where's
right,
everything
get
else?"
it on. Let's get it on. Come on. Where's the gifts? Greg, let's take the listeners to Ukraine because I think we
Look,
both
this is
explored
my favorite
this.
one. Yeah.
I want to hear you say the word though.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I'll have to look it up again.
So in Ukraine, they will decorate their tree with spider decorations, and
Yeah.
those have a special word,
So I don't have I have it written down in my notes, but I didn't write the word.
pavuchki.
A whaty?
Pavuchki.
Okay. No, actually that feels right.
And it's Pavuchky. Pavuchki. I have no idea. So these are put on the tree, and they're usually made of paper and wire.
Yeah.
And Greg, do you have the story? If you don't, I do.
Yeah, so it's a folk tale, right? So about a poor
Yeah.
widow
Yeah.
who could not afford to decorate her tree for her children. So legend has it that spiders in the house took pity on her and they came out and they decorated the tree with their beautiful tinsel, otherwise known as spider webs.
Cobwebs.
So here's the spiders thinking they're doing this beautiful little thing, but if you woke up and everything was covered in spider webs, that'd be horrific.
Yes.
But I love the sentiment. I love
But
this.
what happens when the first rays of sunlight touch the webs?
I don't know. They disappear.
No, they turned into gold and silver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so that's like the actual twist
Okay.
to the story. So yeah, they they put their cobwebs all over. But in the morning, when the rays of sun hit it, those cobwebs turned into gold and silver.
Oh, I like that.
And her and her children were overjoyed, and they never lived in poverty again
Because
they had gold and silver to
okay, all right,
feed the
all right.
rich.
That is a lovely story, and I didn't know that spiders were capable of those kinds of.
No, me neither. So in Germany, Poland, and Ukraine, finding a spider or a spider's web on your Christmas tree is considered good luck for this reason.
Awesome.
Very cool.
You know, like in all like Anansi, the African spider that's like tells stories. Like that's a part
What
of
was it called?
Anansi.
Oh, it's not what I thought you said.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, no. I hear it as you say it. So yeah, no, I think that's it. I think we, covered quite a bit.
That was a nice end to it too.
Little Christmas. The spider little tail there. It's a beautiful little story.
Yeah,
It's a nice
I like
little
that a
one.
lot.
That'd
Greg,
be-
I want to share something with you. So
Okay.
I was away last week,
Okay.
and I actually went to Epcot. And when I was in Epcot, you know what they were doing for the holidays?
No.
Holiday traditions around the world.
Oh wow, okay. So that
So-
sounds like this is where this came from.
Well, no, actually, yeah, I guess when I heard that was happening, I was like, that's such a good idea. So I really wanted to do this episode because I'm like, I like that stuff. When I got there, though, they had some actors portraying some of our beloved characters from last year's episode.
La
So they
Befana?
had yes, but I didn't see her. I saw the rest of them. I wanted to see her. It was in Italy. The stage actor, for whatever reason, didn't come out when I was there. So I was super bummed because I wanted to see La Befana. But they had Pierre Noel.
Okay.
They had Barn Santa, which I don't remember if we covered Barn Santa. That was in like the Sweden area, I believe. And then they had Father Christmas, which was like kind of back into like the Santa origin story.
Yeah. What about like Krampus?
They didn't do Krampus.
Wow.
Well, probably because it's scary.
It's scary as hell, yeah.
Yeah.
It's scary as hell.
They
Yeah, there's
didn't
that
touch
parade
it.
that if you look at footage of that,
I am going to go to
in
that parade one
Austria,
day. Yeah,
that-
I'm going to go.
is wild. That I would love to go to that too. Plus, like Eastern Europe, that's like my jam.
Easter in Europe?
No, Eastern. Like that's where I'm from.
Eastern Europe is my jam. I don't think
East-
anyone's ever said that.
Yeah, everyone loves Eastern Europe. But I mean, historically speaking, that was the big Christian holiday before they had to, usurp, Saturnalia and make this the one. They had to make this more Christian so that it would outshine those pagan holidays. So yeah, and again, if you want to learn more about that, go back a year in our log here. And I think that I think that it's, like both episodes are great, but the one when we talk about Krampus and all his friends, I had a lot of fun with that one. I remember
that. I think we laughed quite a bit.
Yeah, that was.
I actually re-listened to that episode because I had such fond memories of that one.
That was a fun one.
And yeah, that was a good time. So I hope you guys do go back and listen if you haven't already. And we hope whatever holiday and however you celebrate it, I hope that you have a good time. I hope that you're safe and that you're with anyone or whoever you want to be with and whoever you care about. Because
Be careful under the mistletoe.
Yeah, watch out for that mistletoe. But I think that's what it's all about. And hopefully you all enjoy it. So anyways, enough blabbering. We will let you all get on with your day. But thank you for listening. And as always, if you want to show some support, which we would love, we have a few ways you can do that. Definitely leaving a rating and review in any of the platforms that you listen is super helpful. And, ultimately so appreciated on our end. We love it. You can reach out to us on social media. That's always welcome as well. And then the last thing, which we barely ever promote, is we have this subscription thing on Buzzsprout, which we utilize. And if you wanted to show a little support, whether that's just a couple of bucks or a monthly thing, we'll give you a shout out. You can, select an episode, all that good stuff. If we ever get merch, we'll throw out some merch. But anyways, yeah, all the support is super appreciated. And we just appreciate, you all as listeners and being able to do this. So thank you. And we hope that you guys have a great night.
You sure do.
Greg.
That's right.
All right. Peace.